Last time we left off talking a little bit about the differences in West and Eastern spirituality. I think I we both realized it was much more complex than we initially thought. So I would love to continue the conversation again. This time just thought of the most interesting thing, and that was not just about online content, how it's available in both sides of the world, but tell me a little bit about the kind of books and resources that are available, say specifically in Japan, and then in the Western world, whether it's the U.S., Canada, because we've talked about the shortage of materials, right? Or perhaps a lot of the spirituality materials tend to come from English content, and then they're later then translated into different languages. So, what do you see in the realm of books, of literature? Is there a difference in production?
Yes, I think so. Because especially I read both English books and Japanese books. So even though it's translated from the English books, I feel um, different impressions from both languages. I can consume the ideas from English books uh, more than Japanese books because Japanese translated books are a little too optimized to Japanese audience. That's what I feel. So sometimes they cut the important ideas or they don't interpret the ideas correctly. So the concept could be, unclear or not deep.
This before that certain books are better read in their original language. And it's interesting that you
Yeah,
say it takes away, like it's catered, and the word usage is more catered towards Japanese audiences,
mm,
right? Or consumers. So, what is the
yeah.
biggest? I don't want to talk about too negative things that are too negative, but what's the biggest disappointment when it
Mm.
comes to what you read in Japanese?
For example, Tufti. Um, Actually, the original is Russian. The English book is also translated version, but I still feel the English version is more powerful than the Japanese version. And I think the idea is interpreted correctly in the English book. Yeah. So, so I thought it's not about the original or not. It's just I don't know, the energy of language. So I think English is more straightforward, but Japanese is more vague or sensitive. So I think it's about the comprehension of the audience. So that's why they just introduce the shallow part, or they just transform the idea to easier understanding. That's what I feel.
I think that's really interesting because I feel like um, a lot of these topics are very important to translate directly, right? Translate every word, every concept.
Hmm.
So I'm really surprised to hear that a book like Tufti, the concepts weren't as
Hmm.
digestible, let's say, in Japanese because of. Now, is that
Yeah.
a language issue? Like the Japanese language just doesn't grasp um, the expressions as well as you could express it in Russian
Ye-
or in English?
yeah. I think it's just maybe about the quality of the translation
Oh,
because
that's a different story.
I mean, I'm writing. I'm writing blog, right? So And I sometimes get messages like, "Oh, your interpretation is very clear, and then now I understand everything." So when I first read the book of Tufti, I couldn't understand at all. But after I read your article, I understand the idea clearly. So thank you, something like that.
Well, that's a
So I
wonderful
think
message.
it's about yeah, translations. Or maybe I have that ability because I've read both in English and Japanese. I don't know why their interpretation is a little too complicated or not direct enough. Just yeah. Or sometimes they tend to be a little poetic. So that makes things more vague. Yeah.
Now, what you're saying also is that because of your blog, you were able to help somebody understand these topics, right? So it's
Hmm.
not impossible. It might just
Yeah.
be an error with the translations not being as clear as they could be.
Yeah, but like books like Tufti or Abraham, uh, it's hard to interpret from the surface level. So the interpreter should understand the core idea. So not the only the translation. So they have to have the idea of what the dimension, what vibration, what's the reality. So the core idea is needed to understand mm, the whole thing.
I see. And do you have a similar do you come across similar issues with other books and other translations?
No, but I sometimes read Japanese books, like well, self-help books. But unfortunately, most of the time I feel just they are too shallow compared to English books. I've read Atomic Habits or Deep Work
Mhm.
or The Power of Now. So they are so profound. But on the other hand, there are so many similar books in Japanese, but I feel they're just copied some books, some good books. So they just rephrasing the core idea. Yeah.
Really? Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
I have always wanted to try to I guess approach some of these books. Now, that a book like Tufty is pretty complicated. A book like Tufty is pretty complicated in English. Now, people who wanted to read it, is that, or for people who want to learn about spirituality, is it a book you recommend reading immediately or later on when you have a little bit more of a base foundation for spirituality?
Uh, Tufti?
Yes. And Deep Work and Atomic Habits, are these high level books or can you jump in?
Uh, no, Tufti is obviously high level book. One of the highest
Really?
level books. But Atomic Habits, yeah, Deep Work, or maybe, yeah, The Power of Now. It's fine. Yeah, it's just not spiritual at all.
Mhm,
The
mhm.
Power of Now is a little spiritual, but more, more realistic. It's just more about the meditative mind. Yeah, just focus on the present. Yeah, don't think about the future and the past. So that's a more psychological solution. But Tufti and Abraham are, are really esoteric, and then, but I don't consider they as like spiritual. Um, yeah, they're more like the concept of reality and how your life or how your reality actually works. So that's just the explanation of the universe, the law of the universe. Yeah.
And one of the last questions I'll ask you, or if not the last question I'll ask you for today, will be um, a book like Tufti. Now, in Japanese, written by a Japanese author, is there anything equivalent, or what could people read if you know of a book that has the same kind of types of topics, or yeah, that talk about things as complex as Tufti, but made in Japan, so to speak?
Because Tufti is very special, very unique. I can't find any other similar books like Tufti. Yeah. But there are many good Japanese books too. For example, Hitori Saito. It's a very famous Japanese author, the spiritual author. So, so he is very successful businessman, and also he's a very spiritual person. His core idea is the importance of gratitude. So if you keep saying positive words like a thank you or I love you or it's fun or enjoy. So your life is going to be as you mentioned, as you say the word out loud. So that's his core idea. And so many people are applying it to their lives, and then their lives drastically changing. So
I think there's a common phrase I've used a lot in English, and that's "fake it till you make it." Yeah, I think the what you said about his book is absolutely a beautiful note to end on,
mhm.
and I want to say thank you so much, Eiji, for telling us so much about what you know. And if you, we do have other book recommendations. I think we can write those below, or have people write their book recommendations in the comments. So thank you so much for a wonderful episode again, and let's talk again soon.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. See you next time.